It's Frankie. Welcome to the think tank. So, they have ruled Stephen Smith's death a homicide. Whoa, absolutely. This is awesome. We know that they have, let me just change a couple things here. We know that Buster, they've been looking at him for a very long time, haven't they? So let's go over this. If Buster Murdaugh was involved in the classmate's suspicious death, could lifer Alex Murdaugh take the rap to save his son? Let's see here. Stephen Smith was found unalived in June 2015 on a rural road close to the Murdaugh's hunting lodge that became the, that's where Maggie and Paul were unalived. The 19-year-old's death has now been ruled a homicide after initially being documented as a hit and run, which is the most bizarre thing because anybody that was there said no, not so much. They figured that, let's see if I can do this a little bigger for you. No, they've been looking at Buster for a long time when it comes to this, haven't they? So let me fix this. Okay. So, South Carolina teenager Stephen Smith's death was ruled a homicide by cops Tuesday, casting fresh light on the scandal-plagued Murdaugh family. Buster Murdaugh's surviving son of Alex Murdaugh has vehemently denied rumors he was linked to the 19-year-old's death back in 2015. Cops remain tight-lipped on a potential motive and suspects for the unaliving, but are said to believe that Stephen's killer is known to a number of people. He was found dead in the middle of a road close to the Murdaugh's home back in 2015 with several injuries that investigators have said are not consistent with a traffic accident. Buster right now is 26 and the only surviving son of Alex Murdaugh, who was just found guilty of unaliving both Maggie and Paul. So Buster has had his name going through here, not just one or two people, but a large amount believe that Buster has been involved in this. All three of the men in the Murdaugh family, Buster, Alex, and Paul, have now been accused of having a hand in the death of someone in their hometown of Colton County. Holy crap. This is Murdaugh and his aunt. He put something out to the media basically saying that, he's being harassed. I don't know if that'll be in here or not. So we know that Paul was indicted after the boat crash that killed Mallory Beach back in 2019, and that was not resolved. Actually, he was supposed to go to court dealing with this just a couple of days after he had been unalived. Law enforcement say they now have time to investigate the following the conclusion of the double murder trial and feel people in the small town could feel more comfortable coming forward now. It could have severe implications for Buster, who has never been interviewed. Many are speculating that Alex could have had a hand in covering this up. His son suspected involvement in Stephen's death. What is known about the death of Stephen Smith? He was found on July 8th, 2015 on Sandy Run Road near the Murdaugh property with blunt force trauma injury to the head. And this injury has been described in many different ways. And there's a possibility of a weapon even being used. The things that have come to the surface since Alec went to jail is unreal. Lawyer for his family say that from the torso down, He had no injuries, and there was no car parts found. So when you get hit by a vehicle, the first thing that usually gets hit is your legs. So for the top of his body to have injuries, Stephen still had his shoes on. His shoes were still on his feet and they were barely tied up. That's not the way that works. He also supposedly walked 3 miles in the dark without using his phone and left his wallet in the car. So Stephen's mother, Sandy, said he would not have left the wallet in the vehicle and would have tried to call his sister. So Stephen's death was initially ruled a hit and run, but the highway patrol officers have said since that they did not believe the scene was consistent with a traffic accident. So last week, Stephen's family announced his body would be exhumed for a private autopsy after raising $60,000. Do you know what, guys? They started this GoFundMe and were hoping for $15,000 because that is what it was going to take to get Stephen out of that ground. And they got $60,000. Amazing, the support. So an original incident report was written by South Carolina Highway Patrol investigators and contained in the multidisciplinary accident investigation, MATE. Case file obtained by the Daily Mail says he pointed out the wounds to be a gunshot wound and showed me the entry point. So you see, this is not new. This is not new information. His vehicle with his gas cap off. And this basically shows the position that Stephen was lying. So just, basically off the center line, shoes on, no injuries down here, and up here, basically starting at his chest and all of his head. That's what was injured. So Assistant Coroner Kelly Green then began to show photographs they had taken, again showing the entry point to the head and also defensive wounds to the hand. Oh, you see all of this, and they still called it a hit and run. So what the hell happened with this? So written by James B. Tallon III, the notes state, originally HCSO had notified the South Carolina Highway Patrol, SHAP, in reference to this being a possible hit and run. After further investigation, it was believed the victim had been shot in the head. And I mean, anything I'm saying, speculation, my personal opinion. It seems that family likes to use guns. So an EMS worker is noted as stated that the projectile wound was located. So an EMS worker said it was located on the victim's head. And the notes state a hole in the skull was above the victim's right eye. When the autopsy was concluded, the manner of death was listed not as homicide, but undetermined, and was ruled a hit and run. So it's unclear when they are going to exhume Stephen's body. I know law enforcement is still digging into what the hell's going on with this case now. And I'm sure his family will be handling the exhumation. So this is the incident report. The stuff that is, a lot of it's redacted. On July 8th, between the hours of 1 and 4 a.m., an incident took place involving the victim and an unknown subjects. The victim was found in the middle of Sandy Run Road, deceased from some sort of blunt force trauma to the head. Response to the scene, I saw no vehicle debris, skid marks, or injuries with someone being struck by a vehicle. Victim's shoes were loosely tied and both were still on. After consulting with MATE, we see no evidence to suggest the The victim was struck by a vehicle. The incident is still under investigation with supplemental report to follow. So somehow with all of this, they still ruled it a hit and run. On June 21st, 21, police said they'd been investigating Stephen Smith's suspicious death and talked to witnesses over any relationship that Stephen may have had with heir to the powerful South Carolina legal dynasty. Whoa. So a lot of rumors have been floating around. Buster's name does come up a lot when it comes to this death. There's also both Paul and Alec. So Buster did release a statement that said that these were vicious rumors and he had nothing to do with this. And Sandy says, and this is Stephen's mother, Sandy has always maintained that her son, who was gay, was the victim of a hate crime and the murder was covered up. Well, oh boy, it's sounding pretty sus, isn't it, guys? Initial investigators found no evidence of any vehicle accident. We're convinced that the victim had a gunshot wound above his right eye. Oh, it is going to be so great when they do another autopsy if this is the cause of death. The case was investigated as a hit and run, with cops pursuing a variety of lines of investigation and numerous tips. So among those tips was an anonymous one naming Paul, who is deceased, and his brother Buster. And another tipster raised the question of whether Stephen and Buster ever had any type of relationship, because that is the rumors that are going around. And it's not just one person, a large amount of people believe that this is how it went. Investigators followed up and spoke with Aiken, so Dontero, Aiken, along with another black male and white male, Murdaugh, are the ones involved with the death. So contacted Angela Carroll in reference to Stephen Smith's death. Information from Stephanie Smith states a boy named Brendan asked Stephen and Buster Murdaugh ever had any type of relationship. Received an email in reference to anonymous tip states Dontero, Aiken, along with another black male and white male, Murdaugh, are the ones involved with this death. This tip is reference to Stephen Smith. And I do have all of this in my Adobe, so we'll go through it then. So let's see here. Aiken said he knew one that graduated with the victim. He knew one that graduated with the victim, but when questioned, he himself denied being friends with any of the Murdaughs. But Aiken was Facebook friends with Buster. When pressed, he said he never hung out with him or went to any parties at the Murdaughs. And another curious inclusion, an officer noted a tip called in on December 18th by a man claiming that his stepson had named a local guy as the one who struck and killed Stephen Smith. The tipster then failed to return any calls and let's see here, stated that the reason he was passing this information on is because Randy Murdaugh told him to call. Buster out walking his dog. We'll go through this another time. Like I said, I've got this all downloaded. Randy is Paul and Buster's uncle, Alex Murdaugh's brother. And for whatever reason, he offered to take the Smiths case pro bono. Now, these guys are not ambulance chasers. This is an extremely odd situation. Since then, 2 documentaries, one by HBO and one from Netflix, have come out, and they do say that there's a possibility of Buster and Stephen having some kind of relationship. You know what? Watch both of them. They are really, really good. Smith's sister Stephanie said that Alex Murdaugh's brother Randy called the family the day Smith was found unalive, informing him that he wanted to take the case free of charge. A Netflix documentary explored the alleged relationship through the time Buster refused. Yeah, he wouldn't comment, lips sealed. So it says here more than half of the people interviewed during the investigation mentioned hearing rumors about Buster Murdoch's possible involvement in Stephen's death. Oddly enough, Stephen was never brought in for questioning. So he has been staying at his girlfriend's, which, interestingly enough, she's a lawyer. They're in Hilton Head, and he has been spotted. We looked at the picture, walking his dogs quite a few times. So this is the statement that Buster put out not long ago. I have tried my best to ignore the suspicious rumors about my involvement in Stephen Smith's tragic death that continue to be published in the media as I grieve over the brutal murders of my mother and my brother. I love them so much and miss them terribly. I haven't spoken up till now because I want to live in private while I cope with their deaths and my father's incarceration. Before, during, and since my father's trial, I have been targeted and harassed by the media and followers of this story. This has gone on far too long. These baseless rumors of my involvement with Stephen Smith and his death are false. I unequivocally deny any involvement in this death. My heart goes out to the Smith family. I am requesting that the media immediately stop publishing these defamatory comments and rumors about me. Yeah, that's not going to happen. People will talk. So, was Buster involved? On Tuesday, they did not need, let's see here. South Carolina Law Enforcement Division revealed on Tuesday that they did not need to exhume Smith's body to convince them that his death was a homicide. Well, isn't that interesting? Bland Richer Law Firm, which is representing Smith's family, made the announcement on Tuesday after a call with SLED Chief Mark Keel. SLED officials said they will be present and participate in any exhumation of Stephen's body to gather more information. They're working hard trying to find out who did this while the family is trying to find, get this done. We have a chance to right 8 years of wrongs, and we intend to do just that, he said. So this is Maggie and Paul, and this is Maggie and Buster. Buster? And this is the GoFundMe that was put out. And it's so impressive. It's so nice to see that people still care. That was the family once upon a time. And the only one up for now that's not in the Who's Gal is this one. Yeah, due to Alex's case, it has shed new light on the Stephen Smith case, absolutely. So SLED officials have revealed that they did not need to exhume Stephen Smith's body to convince them that his death was a homicide. However, they will be present and participate with any exhumation of Stephen's body to gather more information. We are committed to finding out what really happened and getting peace and justice to the Smith family, and they deserve it. I could see Buster Murdoch speak to investigators as part of the inquiry, even if it is to rule him out as a suspect. There he is. Walk of shame. So we know that Buster has now denied anything to do with that. Alex Murdoch has shown he is capable of cold-blooded unaliving and is now serving life behind bars. But was Alex involved in Stephen Smith's death or helping to cover it up? I could see him capable of both. If so, he could potentially take the rap for it, as he is already serving life behind bars for unaliving Paul and Maggie. Well said. Yeah. I wonder why they shave their heads. I haven't figured that out. But they seem to shave their heads. Mallory Beach, I have done a video on her. She died in that boat crash. And that is something that Alex will be dealing with in August. He's still being charged. I suggest you watch this. Murdoch Murders, A Southern Scandal. Highly recommend it. This is Paul, Connor Cook, and oh my goodness, what's this little girl's name? Bad Frankie. So now they're starting to talk about the boat crash. So we will jump out. Isn't that something? They are absolutely, they have charged him with the death. Sorry, they have not charged him with the death. That's my wishful thinking. They have opened it as a homicide. Wonder where that came from. So don't get that confused. It has now been classified as a homicide. Okay, guys. Well, I am going to bolt. Thank you ever so much for spending the time. Share this out. Let's get justice for Stephen. It is earned and deserved. So for now, I will say see you later, and I'll absolutely see you in the next one. Bye.